Welcome back to My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Today we are talking about how to have an extraordinary Thanksgiving. And before we went on the break, we were talking about a couple of tips to consider in your beingness during this holiday season.
Yeah, and I didn't get to finish the last three, so I'll kind of just finish up with those. Number 6 I wrote down was to let go of control and expectations. Actually, I have two parts of that. Letting go of control and expectations, I think, is a very powerful thing to do, because you don't realize that one of the number one interpersonal addictions is control. Wanting something to look your way when it doesn't look your way, you try to muscle it or make it or force it to look like that, and all that causes is stress and anxiety, and you end up ruining any kind of experience for yourself because you're trying to make your day, the way that you visualized it, go the way that you want it to go. And life isn't like that. Life isn't linear. It doesn't go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Sometimes it goes A, Z, F, R. It jumps all over the place, and you have to be willing to allow the day to unfold the way it's supposed to go, and then free yourself up from trying to control it, and then you get to kind of give yourself permission to create along with the way that it's supposed to be going.
It's really funny because when you're explaining that, I was thinking of a couple Thanksgivings ago. It was years ago. I was younger, and it was at our house. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to wear sweatpants and be comfy and cozy. And then my family comes over and they're all dressed up. And I have this older cousin who I've always, looked up to, admired to, because she's older than me, and she was like a big sister growing up, and she comes all dressed up with her hair done and makeup and everything, and I was like, man. So I was beating myself up all night, like, oh, everyone looks so good. And even my mom dressed up, and she was cooking all day, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna be lazy, and I was like, man, I should have got dressed, I should have got ready. And I was so, I guess, resistant to hanging out and having a good time that I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to my room and get ready. And I spent half the time getting ready instead of hanging out with everybody, because I was so like, oh man, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, instead of deciding one or the other, like, look, I'm not gonna put the time and the effort into dressing to impress you, but I'd rather put the time and the energy to connecting with you. I'd rather put the time into getting to know you at a deeper level, or getting to know what you've been up to, rather than because some of our family members, they can spend 4 or 5 hours in front of the mirror dolling themselves up, and then when they get to the event, they're shallow and disconnected. And so it really doesn't matter how great you look. It matters is, who are you being when you're there? You're really, engaging with people, or creating a safe space for people to share with you, and are you creating deep, meaningful connections? So I'm glad you shared that, because I'm sure there was a learning experience in there. The other thing, other than letting go of control, the next thing was having expectations. Expectations only lead you to what? Disappointment. Every time you expect something to go a certain way, it's 99% not going to go that way. So you have to be willing to say, instead of trying to control or expect Thanksgiving to go a certain way, I'm going to focus more on who I'm being. I'm going to focus more on being the loving, caring, compassionate, playful me, and enjoy all the moments. If the turkey starts to catch on fire, or our dinner rolls burned, or I'm going to learn and teach myself and practice how to allow that to happen and interact with it the way that I do, and it's still okay. I still get to be loving and playful and fun and all that kind of stuff. So let go of this expectations, and let go of trying to control the day to be the way you want it, because it's 99% not going to happen that way. The other thing is, be proactive rather than reactive. Now, this is a certain level of consciousness that you have to really be aware of, because if Uncle Tim or Aunt Sally comes in and makes a comment about how you're dressed, and then you start to react and have your comebacks, we call it in personal development work, or in transformational work, we call it getting tagged, right? Like, oh, you got tagged. What does it look like when someone says, oh, you got tagged? How do you explain that to common folk about being tagged?
I guess just letting somebody irritate you so much that you have to either stoop to their level and say something mean because they said something mean.
Yeah, being tagged for me is like pressing your button and you go spinning around like a broken record. It's like you're a jukebox, and every time I want to get under your skin, I'll just say something or look at you a certain way that I know that it's a certain button that I can press. I press your button, and then you go reacting to that, and you go into reaction mode.
Yeah, there's this thing going around on Facebook, and it goes around every Thanksgiving. Andrew, you've probably seen it because you're young. but
I'm not. But Andrew, you're young. You probably
it's called Thanksgiving Clapback, and it's so funny. It's so it'll be like, your aunt says, "Oh, you don't have a boyfriend yet," and then the girl says, "Oh, you don't have a husband yet."
Nice,
So
yeah.
it's like, and it's funny because everybody can identify with that at Thanksgiving. Somebody saying something that's going to irritate you, and then the thing you want to say but you don't because they're older than you or you respect them or something.
Yeah. So if you can avoid being reactive and focus more on the beingness of being proactive, there's always a proactive response to everything. A lot of times you have to train yourself or teach yourself first to unhook yourself from the being reactive for you to start getting creative to find what the reactive or the proactive answers or interactions look like. So I wanted to point that out. Number 7 is allow people to be who they are in your home or in your party or around you, as long as it's not abusive, as long as someone's not being emotionally, physically, or verbally abusive to you. Allow people to have their dysfunctions. You got Uncle Tim or Cousin Tommy coming in, and it's like, oh, the ones you roll your eyes like, oh, they're coming over, or oh, going to their house. Everyone's got their dysfunctions. Allow them to be dysfunctional and see if you can still love them anyways. See if you can allow people to say the silly things. You always have people at the party that it's like, oh, here comes Cousin Tommy. He always has something sarcastic to say. Create the space for him to be sarcastic anyways and not let it tag you, right? Allow people the space to be who they are without you having the arrogance to say, I don't like you being like that, and so therefore I'm going to let you ruin my day. Give people the space and permission to be who they are and figure out who they want to be or maybe figure out that they don't like that part of them. Number 8 is clean up any petty grievances or withholds by apologizing to people or forgiving them way before they even show up. Maybe a couple of days before or on the weekend, you call them up and go, hey, I know you're going to be coming over, and I've been holding this withhold for a while, and I want to get it off my chest. And just either apologize or ask for forgiveness or ask for an apology, just as a statement to say that, what, I'm bigger and I'm greater than some of my grievances, and I'm just willing to kind of let this stuff go so that we can start new. Choose to have your holiday be a new beginning. And I think that's a powerful way to start off a Thanksgiving, is to kind of forgive and or give people forgiveness if you feel like they're holding on to something. So it frees them up to be, in a space to be loving and caring and compassionate with each other.
Yeah, and that last one I think is a whole entire show in itself. How to, I guess, say sorry or how to have that conversation, because it's definitely not one that I don't know about should be, but isn't really anybody wants to have on Thanksgiving.
A lot of us don't think about it. We don't just give ourselves permission and go, hey, you know what, since they're coming over, I want to clean this up, let me do it. And it takes a huge or an enormous amount of courage for you to muster up to be willing, and some humbleness to be able to call that person ahead of time so that you set yourself up to win for Thanksgiving. All right, now let's move into the doingness. So here are all the tips for doing. Number 1 is request that everyone put their cell phones in a crate or in a box with an agreement, right? With an agreement that they can only check their phones in between Thanksgiving festivities. So you can only go get your phone every 20 minutes or every half hour or every hour. Like, sometimes we might need rules. I know a lot of the kids and a lot of the parents, when it just gets quiet or gets, or during, we have some obsessions where we got to keep checking or we got to keep looking or we got to keep. So, that's just, a request. It's just an idea to, if you're the organizer of the party, or even if you're not the organizer of the party, maybe you go to the owner of the home and say, hey, is it cool if I make a request that all of us put our phones, and create some kind of a rule, like a fun rule, so that we can all give ourselves permission to really be connected eye to eye, and we're freed up from any kind of obsessions and addictions to really be present and in the moment. Number 2 is play feel-good music. I think, for me, I like, on a Thanksgiving morning, I like to put my K-jams or my playlist on. So we're, all of a sudden, like in the morning, it's like, all right, for some reason, music inspires people. I know it inspires me, but it also brings back nostalgia. Like it must release some kind of dopamine or some kind of chemical in my brain that just gets you excited. So I would definitely use music or your favorite playlist to kind of get you fired up and put you in the mood. I would think that's why people use Christmas music when they're decorating in Christmas time, right? It kind of gets you into the mood.
Yeah, and I think it creates some type of holiday spirit that makes everybody want to be a part of it. So even if your brother doesn't really cook ever, maybe he'll help at Thanksgiving because we're all in the kitchen and we're all helping. So
yeah, but if he wants to play his heavy metal because it makes him feel good and all of a sudden it inspires him to get in there and help mom, or let him. Hey, I let you have a 7 playlist song to get you fired up, but then we're going to switch it to someone else's playlist. So maybe it's everybody kind of taking turns. Yeah, exactly. All right, so number 3 is, before you guys eat, ask everyone to share from their heart one thing that they're grateful for, kind of like a round robin. Gives everybody in a moment to really do some self-reflection and look back maybe at the last year, and kind of just identify the one or 2 things that they're really grateful for. And it's permission for other people that maybe don't look at that to kind of share that, and it also lets other people in, like, wow, when people go around sharing gratitude, it just right kind of hooks us in the heart.
Yeah, I know that we for the most part usually do that on Thanksgiving, but I do notice that it's kind of surfacey sometimes. It's kind of, I want to say thank you for my family, things like that. So it'd be cool to maybe if somebody got a little bit deeper, would inspire everybody else to go a little bit deeper and maybe even initiate some emotion before eating.
Yeah, I tried that several times, and sometimes I freak people out because they're not ready for it. So I kind of feel, depending on and I want it to be organic, I want it to be authentic. So when I'm sharing, it just depends, like certain years you're having a tough time, or certain people are ill, or if you had a loved one pass away a few years ago, or in that year you're remembering them. So give yourself permission to allow the emotions of being grateful, and let that kind of tickle your stomach to where you got kind of this knot in your stomach, and then save it for that moment where you get to share. You could inspire other people to share deeply as well, but you can also scare other people because they're not ready for that, or they kind of, and then go in their head and now start wondering, now do I have to share like deep like that too, or is this a crying thing? So there's a lot of psychological stuff that goes with that. But I agree, if I had it my way, we're all sitting there holding hands, bawling, and we're just like letting it all out. And to me, that would be Thanksgiving from heaven. And but it's possible, and you have to kind of give people permission to share that deep like that. The other one for number 4 is create fun, engaging games with your guests. Invite them to connect and share with each other. Maybe you go on the internet and find like team games or team building things, and then like kind of throw out 3 or 4 of them throughout the night. What are some of the games that we play? Like
we usually play board games
or Pictionary, right? Yeah.
We play board games and card games, and I think that's kind of what makes everybody linger around a little bit longer. They don't just leave after dinner, after pumpkin pie. So that's definitely one of my favorite traditions, is just playing, and sometimes we don't even finish the game because we just start talking.
Well, it's not even about the game, but it's more about, like, when you're playing and you're going for it, you're messing up or making mistakes. Then
and everyone starts fighting. You're a cheater.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
Or the laughing.
Yeah.
Or one of us gets on a tangent, we start laughing, and it kind of really makes the experience so golden, is when we're interacting and we're being playful and we're giving ourselves permission. So you might have to create that by throwing in some fun activities or some games and introducing it to all of your guests. Number 5, I wrote down, create and or start a new Thanksgiving tradition. Sometimes you can look at Thanksgiving as a way for all of us to do something special on that day. Maybe it's feeding the homeless, or maybe it's creating gifts, Christmas gifts, Secret Santa gifts for the elderly at the senior center, or create something that you can all do as a family that makes it special, that you keep doing every single year, which makes people look forward to wanting to come and get together every Thanksgiving. Number 6, I wrote down, invite someone to your Thanksgiving experience that may not have a family, or is, their family's out of town and they're out here by themselves. I think that it will really help you guys appreciate, and then have them appreciate spending a powerful experience with your family, and to be able to let them in on what you and your family does, and so that they have a different kind of experience. I know you've invited friends over, and they come in and they're like, wow, like, your family's weird, or hey, your family's cool. But I think it's cool to kind of invite different people and let them sit in on your experience to kind of get an idea of what it looks like to be in someone else's home to experience Thanksgiving. Because we only have our own Thanksgiving unless we're invited to someone else to see how somebody else does it, right? What does that look like for you when you think of that?
I think a lot of my friends usually come over and they do the typical, oh, you guys are so weird, or it's so cool that you guys do this and that, we only do this, and it makes me a little bit, it used to make me sad, like, oh, it's Thanksgiving and you're not with your families, but I never realized that it's really not that sad, as long as they're happy that day, or they're spending time, or they're grateful for something, so I kind of had to understand that extending that invite to them meant a lot, even though I was just saying, oh, if you're not busy, you can come. And so when they would come, I'd be shocked, like, oh, you're not with your family. So for me, that's I don't see why you wouldn't invite somebody who either needs help or needs a family, or maybe just needs somewhere to be that night.
Absolutely. The other thing I wrote down was to maybe the night before, you take out your notebook or journal and you start journaling down all the things that you are grateful for, and really spending some quality time kind of reflecting and looking back, and also realizing that not everyone is as blessed as you are. Not everyone has their health. Not everyone has the finances that you have. Not everyone has all the goodies that you've been blessed with in your life. And I think if you take a little bit of time and reconnect with that, I think that'll help shift you into just this pure light that wakes up Thursday morning just kind of like ready to just engage and create the special moments and bonding with the people that you say you love the most. Number 8 is create a motto. You know what a motto is?
Kind of like a thing you say and people know you for saying it. or just a chant that you say to yourself to kind of inspire you, or to keep you focused on how you want to be or who you're being. So like, I would create a certain motto that you have to keep telling yourself all day long to remind you of what you said your commitment was and who you wanted to be for Thanksgiving. I wrote down a couple of scenarios, like I wrote down, today I am loving, accepting, and grateful for all of you. And so imagine just saying that to yourself all day long. Today I'm loving, accepting, and grateful for all of you. And as you're saying that to yourself over and over again, what happens is you start to consciously become that being as a loving, caring, accepting person. Today I'm not in control. Today I'm free to experience joy, gratitude, and love my family, that all they have to offer me. And so you just kind of create these mottos that you keep telling yourself over and over again, and somehow that helps you stay focused on what the purpose of Thanksgiving is, and what's your purpose here today, and what do you intend to create. And then the last example I put it, today's the greatest Thanksgiving I've ever created because I am creating it. Today's the greatest Thanksgiving I have ever created because I'm creating it. And that kind of gets you back to realizing that you're responsible for your own experiences. You can't sit back and expect people to, they don't owe you anything. Your family, your friends, even though you've invited them over, they don't owe you anything. They've accepted your invitation. So, give yourself permission to be there, taking responsibility for co-creating whatever experience you want to have for Thanksgiving. I really like that one, because I think for people who are either listening to this for the first time or hearing what we're saying for the first time is, they're kind of having this is the first time where they're going to create a Thanksgiving where it's not just them showing up or them hosting and just being there. It's like, there's something different about when you consciously do something, and it's a lot more powerful than just going, and it's part of the thing you do. Every year we do this. Every year we go to this person's house. So I think as long as you can sit there and say, this is the best Thanksgiving ever, it's going to be the best Thanksgiving
Absolutely.
ever. So that's exciting.
And then next year you get to reinvent yourself and then create another best Thanksgiving ever.
Yeah, as long as you stay conscious and know, okay, what can I do this year, or how can I be this year that's going to make it better? It just seems like every year could just keep getting better and better.
Sounds good. Let's take them out on a break.
Are we going out on a break, or are we off?
No, we're going on a break.
We're going on a break? Oh my gosh. Okay, stay tuned for more of My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Today we are talking about having an extraordinary Thanksgiving, and basically we just talked about being and doing for Thanksgiving, and we went over different tips and I guess the distinction between the two. And before we go out on the show, we just kind of wanted to talk about our Thanksgiving experiences and what we're grateful for.
Yeah, and I think that if you really look at like what's the most favorite moments and what do you enjoy the most, for me, I think that what I love most about Thanksgiving is, it's a day where we kind of, turn everything off. We turn off our distractions, and we spend the whole day just being with each other, from getting up in the morning and having breakfast to, it doesn't have to be the party time, or we might start Thanksgiving at 4:00 or whatever, but it really starts when you wake up in the morning and just even as you're showering or brush your teeth, you're already just reminding yourself all the things that you're grateful for and how much we appreciate each other. And so I think if I had to pick like a favorite Thanksgiving, I think it's always right around dinner time when we do open up and share and we do talk about the things that we're grateful for. In that moment, for some reason, I get like hyper in the moment. I get hyper present, really in the moment. And as you're sharing, I'm thinking about all the things that not only am I listening to you, but I'm thinking about all the things, the blessings that I have because you're in my life. And I think that that's really meaningful and really powerful. And then the second favorite thing is again afterwards, when we're done eating, we're playing games or we're laughing and joking, and it's that part where I sometimes have to pull myself out of the moment and just be like the ultimate observer. I have to really be sitting there observing what's going on so that I'm experiencing the experience. Because sometimes we could actually be in it, but we're not having an experience. We're just in it. Or we're looking at it and we're analyzing what's going on. Like, oh, what am I going to say next? But to just be in there. And what I love the most is watching you three, my kids, when you guys are together and you guys are laughing and joking. That means the world to me, because I don't know how many more moments I'm going to have to be able to experience that. And so when that happens, it's really special for me. And so I really have to catch myself periodically and pull myself out and watch that golden moment, because I can see you guys when you're 4 and 5 years old, and now you guys are young adults, and that's very special to me. So that's what my favorite Thanksgiving is. Yeah,
one of my favorite things about Thanksgiving and just spending time with the family in general is, hanging out and having fun with my brother and sister, because we have a good time together, and especially with the whole family. And Thanksgiving is one of those times where I get excited because I know that all 3 of us, or all 5 of us, plus other people are going to be there. And, that's really an overwhelming feeling for me, and obviously you too. So it's nice to see that other people can see or feel the energy that I feel when I'm in it. But another one of my favorite moments is just hanging out with my mom when she's cooking, or my grandma, my aunt, whoever comes over to help. But my mom just she doesn't usually cook throughout the years, but and for some reason she figures it out, like she turns into this master cook at Thanksgiving, but all the rest of the year she's like, I'm gonna sit down for this one. But so it's just fun. Sometimes they have it all handled and I don't even have to do anything. I just like being in the kitchen and talking, and we gossip, or we talk about whatever's going on in the world. And it's so exciting to have strong female presence in the house and during that time. So that's probably one of my favorite moments is being able to be with all the women in the older generations and just bond with them.
Yeah, your mom's something special when she gets into that mode to cook up all her favorite dishes. I think it's something special to also be willing to cook for people, whether you do it all the time or you do it on one special event, and to see her face light up when she's doing her favorite cranberry, and she's doing all that because it's like it makes her feel good to be able to create something that she can give us and share with us, and I want to just kind of give a shout out to all the women that really make an extra effort to not hold back on anything, and getting that extra turkey or getting that extra this or that because they want their family to really have something special, and all the hard work that people put in their kitchens and all the decorating to make that day special. And if you're listening and you haven't really been an active participant in someone's Thanksgiving, remember that they invited you there because they want to spend time with you, and they can't really connect deeply with you if you show up with all of your baggage, if you have your walls up or you're guarded or you have hidden agendas. Give yourself permission that morning to just surrender all of that, and let's call Thanksgiving a day where we could just be at peace, and let's have a truce for all the families that argue with each other or fight with each other. Let's have a moment, a day where we don't talk about any of that stuff. We just spend the day just enjoying each other's company. What would that be like if we just spent Thanksgiving, all of the families all across the world decided that today we're just going to put bygones aside and we're just going to love each other today?
Yeah, that sounds like it would be very magical. Almost impossible, but I hope it's possible for all the families.
Yeah, so I want to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving, and I just wanted you guys to know I appreciate you taking the time to listen to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today on My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.